Hello everyone, I'm Jason.
And I'm Libby.
And welcome to the Red Right Lodge. Thanks for watching our very first episode. Before we get into it, we'd like to make a few introductory remarks. We are setting out to bring to you the creepy, the scary, the horrific, and the terrifying.
Yes, now if it makes your skin crawl and it makes you keep your shower curtain open at night, then I think this one's for you.
And that's what we're going to be talking about here on the Lodge. Mm-hmm. Thank you for tuning in to episode 1. Tonight we're going to be discussing Poltergeist. Yes, the movie that terrified unsuspecting children everywhere, or maybe it was just me. Mm-hmm. At least for me, this movie was a very nostalgic 80s horror movie. Although I don't remember exactly how old I was when I first watched it. It was probably when it was released on HBO. My parents had a VCR.
When it was fresh.
It's fresh.
See, I saw
Cable was fresh.
Much later on like USA or something. I was probably like 8 or 9.
Well, see, I was 8. I was a little bit older than Mrs. O'Rourke was whenever she filmed it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Crazy. I guess same here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, another thing to consider, the reason why we're doing the Poltergeist franchise in our first episode is its historical significance. And if anyone can help us out with this, I'm not sure, and I couldn't really figure out, but I believe that this is one of the first movies to use the whole built on a cemetery trope. Like, it wasn't even a trope then, at least.
Really?
Maybe it existed
feel like
before.
There's got to be something.
Well,
from the 50s.
there probably is. I just couldn't find it, and there was something about in some movie that was built. There was a house in a cemetery, but it wasn't like built on a cemetery, and they're being haunted because of it. It was a different sort of vibe.
Like the whole Native American burial ground type
So this isn't that specifically, but
yes.
You know,
from my childhood, I always remembered the premise of it being a Native American burial ground.
But it wasn't.
But then after watching the movie again, it was just a regular cemetery.
It's the Mandalorian
trope.
Effect.
Yeah.
Not the Mandalorian.
Crazy. So
Manchurian
who else out
effect.
There thought it was a Native American burial ground?
Leave in the comments something about that, or if you know where this trope began, that would be very helpful. Mm-hmm. Might be interesting to discuss in our second episode about this franchise. We were going to talk about the cast members first, but in addition to that, there are some really strange things that have happened. Oh, yeah. But we're going to get into that in a minute. Mm-hmm. So I have to admit, here at the top of recording our first episode, that we did nerd out a bit and created our own horror subgenre category tree. And
He says we, but it was all him.
Well, in any case, you don't want to take blame.
No, it's cool.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. You can have credit too. Anyway, so we hope to upload this on the channel somehow. I don't even know how to do that or how that would be useful.
Insert photo now.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. So keep an eye out for that, and we'd love to hear your comments about it, and maybe we'll have a discussion.
We're getting a little bit ADD, I feel like.
Okay, let's...
Back to the subject.
Yeah, back to the subject. Poltergeist. All right. Of course, there are multiple elements and themes in all movies that that generate a label for the movie. But for this, just a real brief synopsis, we would classify this as a supernatural horror.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it's many other things, but it is at least that. And so now on to the synopsis.
Synopsis time!
So, this was released in 1982. Poltergeist focused on the Freelings, which is a family of 5, father, mother, 3 kids, and they lived in a seemingly typical suburban neighborhood with typical neighbors, typical interests, with one exception. Mm-hmm. Their house was haunted.
Haunted!
Now, not haunted in the traditional sense by some transparent benign ghost. No, this is a full-on corporal, menacing group of spirits that has inhabited their house.
Group.
Or rather,
That
three
means more
ladies,
than one.
yes, they have inhabited the spirit's house. However you want to look at it.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah.
Some interdimensional liminal play going on there. So the family first begins to notice some strange things that happen, like the chairs, and that's a very interesting part of the whole movie.
Iconic.
It's iconic, yeah. So the mother is pranked, or not pranked. She discovers this really strange thing that the chairs can do in their kitchen. The character, Carol Ann, is hypnotized by the staticky TV and announces, "They're here." And at that point, the pranks become more and more sinister. In fact, they're no longer really pranks, but actually threats on their lives. And just as an aside here, I'm old enough to remember when broadcast television actually would turn off at night. So it's kind of interesting. I think people don't realize that TV just sort of stopped at midnight or 2 o'clock or whenever. And anyway, that's a boring fact. But the family, eventually stricken by fear, employed the help of paranormal specialists. From some university, and they come in and start to try to help them out, set up all the equipment, the magnetic thing, the voice box stuff.
Kind of reminded me of the Conjuring families.
Oh yeah.
What do they call? What are the names again? Starts with a W.
I don't think so. The Warrens. You're right. It is a W.
The Warrens.
Yes, it's like the Warrens.
They kind of remind me of the Warrens.
Yes. So they're coming in. They're helping them try to figure out what's going on in the house, and mainly because Carol Ann has vanished, been sucked into the TV. Threatening. Anyway, so this group of folks try to help out, and they make some headway, but then they get terrified at some event, and then they call in the real professional.
The real deal.
Yes. It ends up being this small, tiny little woman with an iconically small voice who herself, spiritual acuity and wisdom aside, mimics the likeness of a child, though it was a little girl that she had come to help.
Iconic. I always loved her voice.
Yes. And so she does. She rescues the little girl, and they live happily ever after.
The end.
Until 4 years later, Poltergeist 2 is released.
They thought you thought they got you. They thought they had you. Oh, but they fooled you. They were not done.
Okay. No, we'll start that one over.
No, I'm using that.
Okay. Now just to highlight some of the cast members. The parents were Craig T. Nelson.
Honey, it's right to the nautilus machine.
Wait a second. Before, after, before, after, before, after.
Jo Beth Williams.
Hey, partner.
Hey, honey.
Dominique Dunn as Dana. The oldest child. Oliver Robbins played Robbie. And, of course, Heather O'Rourke as Carol Ann.
So, Carol Ann, poor little Heather O'Rourke, unfortunately passed away in 1988 from cardiac arrest due to Crohn's disease that she actually developed from contaminated well water the previous year. She was actually battling this disease during the filming of Poltergeist 3 and was taking cortisone shots. Can you believe that? Terrible. And she died. And not only did she die, but the was murdered.
Dominique.
Yes.
Dunn.
Dominique Dunn was murdered. After the filming of Poltergeist 1, the first one, she was strangled in her West Hollywood driveway home. The home of her West Hollywood home, the driveway in her West Hollywood home, she was strangled by her boyfriend. Or should I say her ex-boyfriend. But yeah,
And
terrible.
Incidentally, Dunn's home was like 20 minutes from the place where Sharon Tate, her home, where Sharon Tate was murdered, and her three friends, or two friends.
That
by the
West
Manson
Hollywood.
family. Dangerous area.
It's got some sinister history to it.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino made a movie about this.
I bet it's haunted out there.
Could be.
Like, there's actual poltergeists out there.
Yes. West Hollywood is built on the cemetery of
The old
actor deaths.
Yeah.
Deaths
Old
of
Hollywood.
Actors. Yeah. So, and anyway, so outside of the casting of the family, we have Beatrice Straight as Dr. Lesh, Richard Lawson as Ryan. They were two of the initial group that they invited into the paranormal specialists.
Poltergeist are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances over a fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And lastly, but not least, Zelda Rubinstein as the prosaic Tangina.
Don't mind hanging back. You're jamming my frequencies.
Prosaic? What's that mean?
Mysterious.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause she's
mysterious.
Mysterious.
She was. I loved her.
Yeah,
She was
she's a great character.
iconic.
Now, let's talk about the production. There has been some dispute.
Production time!
That's right. There has been some dispute about who would be credited with this movie. Of course, Tobe Hooper is of Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame. He's the director. He's listed as the director. But some of you may notice a similar ethereal sort of sci-fi vibe to the movie, to something similar to, say, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which was a Steven Spielberg movie. And that's where the dispute comes in. Spielberg is credited with the story of Poltergeist, and he was obviously on set a good deal of the time of production, just because of the way it turned out.
Yeah, you can totally tell.
Yeah, you can tell. He definitely had his hand in it. And it seems a little bit more like a Spielberg movie than a Hooper movie.
Yeah. Like, I was really surprised that it was the same guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Anyone would be.
Yeah.
And that's why some people question whether it's credited, properly. Whether Spielberg is the actual director,
Even
or even
though he
the
wasn't
co-director.
the director, it's almost like he was there, like he was supervising the whole thing, just
Yeah.
to make sure it was right.
Right. Or
But stay
in
true
his,
to his vision.
Yeah, his vision. He cast the vision. It sure does seem like. Of course, it was his story.
It was.
But on several occasions, both Spielberg and Hooper have denied this by saying, they are both credited appropriately in the casting or in the way it's listed.
Yeah, we don't really know. I mean, he could have been inspired by him, and that's why it seems that way. He probably did take a lot of inspiration in his directing notes and things like that.
Probably. We don't know very much about their relationship on set. I don't even recall hearing any actors talking about it.
In real life.
I don't know. That would be. They seemed like strange bedfellows anyway. But it's it's really much ado about nothing. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It's been enjoyed by many people. So now, on to Poltergeist 2.
Dun dun dun!
Released on May 23rd, 1986, 4 years after the first one. Same family, the Freelings. Different locale, of course. Same basic cast, minus Dominique, sadly.
Yeah, so sad.
Yeah, the Poltergeist is now, at least in the narrative, evolved into this thing they call the Beast.
The
And
Beast.
it inhabits, in this movie, actor Julian Beck as the creepy old preacher. I tell you what, this guy, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Zelda Rubinstein, but as far as iconic, creepy characters, she's not creepy, but iconic horror characters, he's up there for me.
Oh, yeah.
Like the guy from Phantasm, same sort of
Oh, definitely same vibes.
Yeah. So this guy, his name's Kane. His character's name's Kane. And he was, and like in the 1800s, the leader of some cult, a death cult.
It's a death cult!
Right. And he led them to their death in some cave, and their spirits are now what is being used. Him and their spirits, they're being used to haunt this family, the Freelings, continually haunting them, and it's very creepy. They first meet him, they encounter him at a farmer's market or something in town, and he's trying to give little Carol Ann some candy.
I ain't taking no candy from him. Hell no, it's probably licorice too.
Yeah, they didn't have good candy back then.
No.
They didn't have brats.
It's got that haunted 1800s candy.
It's probably a rock. So this character, there's several scenes in the movie that just really burn an image of him in your mind. Now, not only in this movie do they not only employ Tangina to help them, but they also employ none other than a Native American shaman.
Of course they do.
What else do you do when you live in Arizona, Southern California? That's what you do.
Exactly.
So this, I'm afraid, ends the first part of our journey through this franchise called Poltergeist.
Wait, but what happened?
In the second one?
Yeah, after they got help from the Native American shaman.
I don't know.
What?
Yeah, we'll have to.
Sorry, guys. You're just going to have to watch the movie for yourself.
Yep. In the second part of our coverage of this franchise, we're going to look into Poltergeist 3.
It's not over. We're not done here.
Yes, there's more. And Poltergeist, the remake.
Yes, the remake. Which I thought was not bad. I mean, obviously, it's a little overkill on the CGI.
That's the big thing.
CGI was really big when that movie came out, yeah. But as far as the overkill in CGI, it wasn't bad.
Well, I wouldn't have the same criticisms that a lot of people about Sam Rockwell's performance and stuff like that. I didn't think it was so over the top. But it just...
Wait, which one is Sam Rockwell?
Oh, he's the dad in the movie.
In the remake.
And I just hold the first one too dear to my heart to enjoy this remake as much.
It's like when they tried to remake Space Jams.
That wasn't a remake, that was a sequel.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like when they tried to remake... When did they try to remake that everyone hated?
Oh, lots of things.
They remade Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, well, that we can't. Okay, so when we start talking about that, that's going to be a several-part franchise.
That's a whole other episode.
Or we honestly just talk about the first 3 and end it right there. I don't care anything about the other ones.
Now I'm like trying to think of bad remakes.
Yeah, bad remakes. Yeah, I mean, I'm drawing a blank. There's so many.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll make a whole episode on bad remakes. My voice went out.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
The bad remake.
And comment what you guys think we should talk about next.
Definitely. That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining us for our very first episode. We'll see you later.
Bye.